Hey all, welcome to ShareTrek. This is Raj here. Friends, today we are starting a absolutely brand new segment which is going to appear every Monday, and it's going to be called ShareTrek Weekly Spotlight. In this segment, what we are going to do is we're going to take one of the NASDAQ shares that we think is interesting. We're going to do a technical and a fundamental analysis on it. And joining me is going to be Sandeep, whom you guys know as Inf. Sandeep is a person who is into financial accounting, and he's also done his Canadian securities courses. So he's very into fundamental analysis. So between the two of us, we're going to take one stock at a time, do analysis, and give you guys our feedback, and invite your feedback in turn. That way we'll get to know each of these companies better. Some of these will find their place in our new watch list that we are creating for high volume, fast moving companies, so that apart from genomics, which are still in the nascent stage where many of them are in the red, we can also look at dividend paying companies with really good volume of trading, good options market, so that we can have a much more rounded approach towards investing. With that said, let's get started. Welcome back, friends. Today's topic is NVIDIA. The company of interest is NVIDIA, which designs and sells GPUs for gaming, cryptocurrency mining, and professional application, as well as chip systems for use in vehicles, robotics, and other tools. And in most of these latest quarterly reports of various big companies like Google, Microsoft, and all, you might have seen that their cloud business is growing, and that's the area of emphasis. Well, NVIDIA also supplies chips which are used in cloud computing as well as AI. So that said, we're going to look at it today. And I'm going to show you a bunch of infographics to give an idea of what this company looks like before I invite Sandeep to come on the screen and start talking about the fundamentals. Let us start with the ownership breakdown first. And as you can see in this graphic, institutions own 67.3% of the shares, general public owns 28.7%, and individual insiders own 4.0%. And the others are all smaller in size. And if we were to go into the top 10 shareholders of the company, of course we have 25 here, but I'm going to talk about the top 10. Vanguard is the very top with 8.14%. BlackRock is at 7.36%. FMR has 5.07% holding. State Street Global Advisor Inc. at 3.7%. And Jensen Huang, who is the CEO, has got 3.49% of the holdings. And he's an insider. And T. Rowe Price Group has 2.32%. And of course, at the very bottom is JP Morgan Asset Management with 1.13%. So these are the really big holders of NVIDIA shares. Here you can see that they have been steadily growing their number of employees. And at this point of time, as of January 28, 2023, they had 26.2K employees. So that's a pretty decent size of company. I had NVIDIA in my portfolio. On the Canadian side, they have Canadian depository receipts. So I had a decent amount of NVIDIA. And as you can see in this chart out here, this is the resistance which was holding back NVIDIA. And I sold somewhere around this level of 28.87. I made a lot of profits, but I've never been able to get back into NVIDIA, and I keep on seeing it going up, and it's very scary at this point of time. And that's where I thought that I should invite our friend Sandeep to come in and have a quick chat with us, talk a little bit about fundamentals, what this company looks like. Sandeep and I are going to discuss a few more things on NVIDIA, and we'll offer our conclusions and opinions and invite you guys to give your feedback. So with that, let me invite Sandeep. Hi, Sandeep. So Sandeep, I just gave a brief background about NVIDIA to our viewers. I'd like to let the viewers know that you have been doing a lot of investment on your own, and you also done the Canadian Securities Services course, and you're working in the finance industry. So I was wondering whether you'd like to share your analysis of NVIDIA, the spreadsheet that you have made, and just share some information with us. It will be a change for our viewers also to see somebody else other than me on the screen and talking about some shares other than genomics.
Well, of course. First of all, thank you kindly for having me on again. It's an absolute delight. And it's great to see that new share track universe setup that's very, very neat. And yeah, I have been doing quite a bit of research on NVIDIA, and I am just amazed at this company. This company, despite the great appreciation in share price, it's still growing. As you know, AI is the new thing, it's a new hit thing in the stock market and everything else in the world. But I kind of this kind of reminds me akin to something like the gold rush, where during the gold rush, everyone was rushing in, everyone was going and trying to get gold, trying to dig for gold, pan for gold, whatever. But the groups that made the most money were actually the people selling the shovels. And NVIDIA is selling the chips. They're running the servers for the AI companies. And that's where a lot of their money is coming from. For example, their H100 chips and A100 chips, they are seen as the best chips today in the market for AI. You and I, maybe Raj, but I can't afford these chips. Usually the consumer can't buy these chips. They're meant more so for the big cloud companies, the big AI providers like your Teslas, your Apples, your Googles, your Microsofts. The H100 chips, NVIDIA says it costs them roughly about $3,000 to $5,000 to make these, and the A100 chips about $1,000 to make these. But if you were to take a look at what they're selling at, you could even search it yourself if you don't believe me. And H100 chips sells for about $30,000.
That's a huge margin.
Yes, the H100 30,000, A100 10,000. It's like 1,000x in margin. I'm amazed.
Now I regret having sold NVIDIA.
Maybe there'll be a chance to buy it again. It's
Yeah.
insane. And another thing that going through their earnings, I noticed that their free cash flow in just 3 months grew by 16.19 billion
Wow.
dollars in just cash.
That's like 8 CRISPR Therapeutics balance sheet cash balance
Good comparison.
in a
Exactly.
quarter.
Yes. Yes. And their debt is only short-term debt about 10 billion, long-term debt about 22 billion, but 16 billion in cash growing by 6 each 3 months. They'll be able to pay off their debt like that. That's amazing just how efficient this company is.
And if they pay off the debts, the valuation increases further.
Of course, yes. Good point. Because then they don't have debt and they can use that money for either paying out dividends or buying back shares. And they did a lot. They did a share buyback, which
Yeah,
is
I saw
crazy.
the announcement. Yeah.
The SEC does have restrictions on how much a company can buy back shares. NVIDIA did 3 billion in buybacks in this quarter alone.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Yes, crazy company. And Raj, the last time we saw their earnings, we saw that they had an expectation, a rather lofty expectation, some might believe, of a growth rate of 25%. Based off their new earnings, they expect to grow at least until 2024, which is when they expect their ramping phase to stop. And by ramp, I mean how much they have a demand and they would need to increase their supply to meet the demand. They expect to go on until 2024.
Wow.
So based off what the really brilliant CEO Jensen Huang, pardon my pronunciation, says, their growth rate instead of 25% is now could be upwards to 30%.
Wow.
And that's how
Yeah, Monday I'm going to buy the shares. I'm getting greedy now.
Okay. So, and by the way, I'll share this spreadsheet with everyone.
Yeah.
We can put it up on the website.
Yeah.
So these are just some popular tickers like NVIDIA, AMD, because it's in the same industry. We have Tesla, Apple, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, just your usual FANG or whatever it's called today stocks. And these are roughly about the last price they were trading at. This is Wall Street's estimate of expected 2023 earnings per share. And the way it works is price divided by expected EPS will get you PE.
Okay.
Expected growth rate that we got from Wall Street's estimate from their earnings. And if we divide PE by expected growth rate and then 100% because we're doing percentages, we'll get a price to earnings growth and then their new growth rate.
Yeah.
These other stocks, I use the same amount because we don't know their new growth rate, but
Yeah.
their old PEG ratio, the lower the better, was 2.24. Using this new valuation, their new PEG is 1.86, which is much lower than all the other companies like Google and Amazon and Microsoft and Apple, which is just amazing to me how it could grow.
So there is, of course, viewers, this is not a financial advice session. This is basically two investors just having a discussion and sharing it with you. But please do your own due diligence before you make any investments. We are just having a good chat about NVIDIA. And you may find something interesting out here, but please do your own analysis. Okay, Sandeep, I've done the disclaimer right now. Let's go ahead.
So if I may carry on, another crazy thing that I found interesting where I was looking up, I just got into more research as to what people expect is the AI adoption. And based off my research, it seems like a lot of people say that some people say I've used GPT a little bit, but then I've stopped. Some people say I use it very frequently every single day. People like yourself, Raj, or myself, but most people say that they don't use it at all, which is surprising to me. So if we kind of think that maybe the majority of the population is not using this as of yet, and the majority of the population has yet to adapt AI into his or her daily lifestyle, but NVIDIA is still selling all these chips and still growing at a rate. If the AI adoption hasn't really gotten to the point where it's mass adoption, NVIDIA might be something that can be very, very big if
Yeah,
AI takes off.
yeah, I have a point out there, Sandeep. I think that the Chat GPT business, right? It's not just retail like us who are using it for free.
Yes.
I know quite a few of our subscribers who are paying $20 per month to use Chat GPT.
Oh,
And apart from this, they also have a business to business wing where it can be used to power chatbots.
huh.
So there are other avenues for ChatGPT to monetize and increase its demand. So I think those are all the areas which we generally do not see in the kind of people that we talk to. So there's more to it than meets the eye, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the large companies, especially we could see in the finance world where some of the banks take over much of the business, some of the companies like Microsoft take over most of the business. Apple apparently has something like 50 to 60% of the market share of phones. The largest companies take out the, as Kathy Wood would say, lion's share of the audience, of the revenue, of the income. And NVIDIA, at least as of yet, appears to be the front runner in AI chips, in AI servers, in AI, which is interesting, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
And also, when you talk about AI, Sandeep, it's not just Chat GPT.
Yes.
I think I have done a video earlier about Cambridge One by NVDA.
Mm.
So it's a system, a supercomputer system. I think they have built along with some UK institutions to do genomic research. So there are applications of AI in various areas apart from just Chat GPT. And I think those chips are also used in supercomputing. So overall, yeah, it's more than what we see. And that could be reflected in the 30% growth that the CEO is talking about.
Yeah, yeah. And their gaming revenue grew, which is very, very good to hear. Unfortunately, their graphics cards are quite expensive right now, but maybe in the future they'll be a little bit cheaper. But I like hearing that their gaming revenue is growing. It's not just their AI and their server sector. Some of their other sectors are growing. The one area which did fall was automotive, which the CEO Jensen Huang said much of that was from lower demand in China, and China is facing a little bit of an economic situation right now. But in the future, depending how that goes, their automotive sector might catch up. And another thing that the NVIDIA repeats in its earnings is they like to deal with efficiency and high margin. One of the things they notice is actually manufacturing, actually making the chips. That is not where the money is, and that's not what they do best. They outsource it to their partners over in Taiwan Semiconductor, TSMC.
TSMC, yeah.
Yes, correct. Thank you for correcting. They outsource this to them, but they make the designs in-house, and they have the factories over there where TSMC knows what they're doing. They're a leader in manufacturing these. So they have them do what they're good at, and NVIDIA does what they're good at, which is designing it. Then they work hand to hand like partners. It's beautiful.
Yeah, but there's a big risk factor out here, in my opinion. And I guess most of our viewers will also agree. There is a growing animosity between China and US, and there was a existing tension between China and Tibet, China and Taiwan. Those undercurrents are still around, and they flare up every now and then. And most recently, when Nancy Pelosi visited Taiwan, uh, China conducted some military drills with their air force around Taiwan. So Taiwan is becoming a bit of a hotspot. So having production in Taiwan, in a way, is positive because you have all the skills and factory and everything set up out there. And at the same time, we also have the US government progressively coming with a semiconductor ban kind of thing for China, so that certain kind of technologies will not be passed on with regard to making chips of a particular specification and above. In other words, they would be able to manufacture chips which are of particular microns, but below that, when they go to more specialized chips, those machines should not be sold to China, and those kind of policies are in place. And therefore, there could be a flashpoint out there, and the United States is trying to get more chip manufacturing capability inside of United States, and that activity is going on. And as you know, China is one of the big economies. So if advanced chips cannot be sold to China, then it is cutting out a huge portion of the market. And I remember reading somewhere that Jensen was saying that it could have an impact on their growth or something. I don't know. Don't hold me to that, but I recollect vaguely reading somewhere that maybe a month ago or something. Uh, our audience might know about it, but that's what I heard.
Yes, yes. Please, if you know something that we don't, please share. That's how we
Yeah, put
all.
it in the comments below.
Yeah, that's how we all know, and that's definitely a risk factor that anybody who's investing in not just Nvidia, but any company that has exposure to another country, which may or may not have some other risks associated. That's something to consider, of course. So I'm really happy you brought that up and really happy you brought that great tip for the share track community, Raj. Like good on you, good mind. Sometimes in this optimism and this greatness, we overlook some of the reality, which thankfully we have friends to help us out. So
Yeah,
thank so we got companies like AMD, which I just put the price of 100 because that's roughly about what it's been trading at.
right.
And the Wall Street expected earnings per share of 2.75. That'll give us a very, very respectable future end of year PE. And and some people say, why do you use the future PE? Raj, you can probably attest that the market is forward looking. They
Because we
need,
want to be where it's going to be.
yes, exactly. We want to see where it's going to be.
Yeah.
So their PE is 36.36, which is low compared to some of the tech related names. And their expected growth per share, I put as 30. That's what we got from not just Wall Street, but what Wall Street analyzed from their earnings, giving us a lower peg. And remember, with PEG, price to earnings growth, we want lower because that means we're getting a better deal. I put the new growth as 30 because I haven't gone through their recent earnings yet. Their PE is quite lower right now. So
Yeah. But it's been marching above. But now when I look at the PE out here, 55.90, right? So it is higher than Tesla. Sorry,
yeah,
it's sorry. The only thing higher than that is Tesla. And again, Tesla is another holding that I have, which is in the red because they started giving discounts and all that stuff. But if you go and look at a healthy company like Apple, 29.17, right?
yes,
Could use Apple as the North Star for PE. Apple is looking pretty good at 29.17, whereas NVIDIA looks very expensive. It's a very dangerous thing, right? You
yeah.
buy it at this stage, how much more is it going to go up? And
Mm.
if it did go up, how long is it going to stay there? When are you going to sell it? So even if I buy it now, maybe I'll wait for 10 or 20% growth and I'll sell it because I don't want to just go like a roller coaster with it. So I might never have NVIDIA with me and I'll always be watching it in the stratosphere.
Well, not financial advice, of course, but hey, it's very hard to find the
Yeah.
most optimal entry.
Yeah.
People can do lots of technical analysis, be technical analysis wizards, but
Yeah.
still, some things can come up in the earnings, like NVIDIA coming out with growth after already projecting lofty growth, coming up with even more appealing, even greater growth.
Yeah.
And
But if we look at the whole chart that you got, Sandeep, right?
yes,
NVIDIA is very expensive.
yes,
You would
yes,
agree, right?
yes, I
And
would.
then the other problem is if for some reason there was hostilities between China and Taiwan,
Yes.
then this can drop like a rock
Oh, very true. Yes.
because the supplies are all coming from Taiwan, right? I don't know how much of it they are manufacturing in US, what percentage.
Hmm. That's something that I
Maybe
could.
that's something we need to look up and share with our viewers.
Yeah.
But that's a risk factor, in my opinion, because along with the prospects, we also have to look at the risk. And maybe it's a bit late to catch the NVIDIA train. I don't know. But here we have the chart, Sandeep. Thanks to you. We can compare it.
Yeah.
Please go ahead. Sorry for interrupting you so often.
Oh, no, don't worry. It's a conversation. The more you give your insight, the better my insight will get. And that's what I
Yeah, I
enjoy.
think we got to collaborate and yeah, take it through. Yeah, go ahead.
So another companies, other companies like the big tech names, the big $1 trillion tech names, and NVIDIA has joined that big list of $1 trillion companies like Google, Amazon, Microsoft. They are trading rather cheap compared to NVIDIA.
Yes.
However, their projected growth aside from Amazon, is a little lower. So some of these companies who have lower growth, they might compensate through share buybacks, through dividends, through other
Yes.
ways. But growth companies like Tesla, growth companies like AMD, and the semiconductors, they compensate through share appreciation, price appreciation.
Yeah, with regard to Tesla, right? I just wanted to make 2 points. Of course, this is like a free format discussion, friends. So please pardon us for going here and there a little bit. We are new to doing these kind of videos, both Sandeep and I. So please be a bit tolerant with us. What I'm thinking is that for Tesla, right? I think the CEO has lost focus. If you saw my last video where I was talking about contrast between Illumina and Microsoft, how the management went about acquiring Activision, right? So when we talk about leadership, right? Tesla, I think Elon Musk probably has got bored of doing all the good work like SpaceX and Tesla and new models of cars and the boring company and all those things. And the Twitter thing has distracted him big time. So I think that's reflected in what's happening with Tesla, because many other companies are catching up with Tesla. When Tesla was in the lead, it was commanding a premium. At that time, you didn't have many leading automakers have any electric cars. The closest was Prius from from the Toyotas. There was nothing else other than Prius. Now, if you look at it, right, Mercedes has got an electric version, BMW has an electric version, you got Hyundai with electric versions, Kia with electric versions. There is a lot of competition, and people are eating up the market share. So I don't know how long Tesla can continue to maintain its premium until unless the CEO puts a good deal of focus in there and comes up with the next new innovation just to stay ahead of the competition. Or else there are old time brands like BMW, Mercedes, Volvo. Those guys can definitely make an inroad into the market at the premium end, and the small ones like Hyundai, Nissan, and Kia and all the people carriers can make a entry in the lower end. So where does Tesla position itself, and how does it compete? It needs to have some lower end vehicle, it needs to have some premium vehicle and some mid range vehicles, and then it needs to have a scalable, SUV, sedan, micro, the whole range. So that's my thought when it comes to Tesla. And if you look at Google, Amazon, Microsoft, right, they're all having growth, and a good portion of their growth is going to come from cloud. And guess what? NVIDIA supplies the chips for cloud computing, and AI goes into the cloud. So there's a synergy out there. So they're all sharing, as you said, NVIDIA is selling them the shovels for the future gold rush.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And NVIDIA, they expect that gold rush, that demand to not change, to just continue growing until 2024, based off the CEO, Jensen Huang. The regular automaker, even Ford, who you wouldn't really associate too much with electrical vehicles, they're seeing that, hey, electrical vehicles, this is what our consumers want, and they're bringing it out and they're selling out, which is cool. I still think that with electrical vehicles, based off personal conversations, I know Peter Lynch, legendary investor Peter Lynch, was a very big advocate of just talking to people and just seeing what's going out in the world. Based off conversations, and Raj, you and I, we live in a cold country.
Yeah.
Some people don't trust the electrical vehicle range.
True.
Can I get point A to point B even during Canadian winters without having any issues?
But again, there's another thing I read about Tesla, was that Tesla was earlier using NVIDIA chips for their supercomputing needs, and now they are trying to develop their own because of the shortage of manufacturing capacity at NVIDIA. So that's another small piece of business that has gone out of NVIDIA, not because of any bad reason, but just that they couldn't do so many things at once.
Yes. So everyone wants the H100s, everyone wants the A100s,
Yes.
and they're selling at such a premium
Yeah.
that some people got to settle for other chips,
Yes.
which, hey, this is the world we live in. So, Raj, to sum up what I have seen in NVIDIA's earnings, the company, despite already giving really, really out there, really, really lofty expectations, they beat those expectations. Despite saying we're going to grow at 25% when before they're growing at 20%, they beat it and are now expected to grow at 30%. The company is selling their H100, their A100 AI chips to very, very large companies like Microsoft, like Google, at almost 1,000% markup premiums. And despite all that, they're growing and they have cash. $3 billion in buybacks in just this quarter and 6.19, pardon me, increase in free cash flow in this quarter alone. They have enough cash to pay off all their debt. They have enough cash to meet their immediate needs, and they don't expect to any slowdown based off the CEO until 2024. The company looks amazing. It's in an industry which has not fully caught on yet. And because of that, I think that NVIDIA is something that maybe it might be a little too expensive for everyone right now, but it's something that I think we should have on our watch list
Yeah.
and take a look at this little spreadsheet. And before to feel free to ask questions, and please in the comments down below, give your opinion and let us know what else do you want to hear, and if you have any insights we haven't talked about, let us know.
Yeah, please put that in the comments. So thanks a lot, Inf, and I think we should do this more often
Yes.
with to develop the new watch list of companies. I'll add NVIDIA in there, and I'll also ask our viewers to put the comments whether we should track NVIDIA. I think if there is some kind of fluctuation in the market, and for some reason suddenly the market falls, I'm going to have enough cash to just blindly put it into NVIDIA, because it's going to bounce back up real fast. So that will be a buying opportunity. So I'm going to be waiting for that. And as and when that happens, I'm getting into NVIDIA and I'm not getting out for a while, at least until 2024, last quarter of 2024.
Yes. Good mindset.
Okay.
Good mindset.
Okay.
Use some of your FNGU.
Okay, Sandeep, thanks a lot. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And I hope our audience likes this segment, because we are trying to come up with some more variety on the channel. Instead of my monologues on just genomics, we want to have a range of programming. And this is our effort. And I really thank Sandeep for joining us and doing the fundamental analysis. Instead of one person, it's nice to bounce off each other and come up with some insights. So please let us know how you find this segment. Please put it in the comment. Please do not hesitate to press a like if you like it. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Thanks. I'll catch up with you again. Yeah.